Between the roar of the Pacific and the whisper of the Amazon, a land rises where civilization touched the sky. Stone cities cling to impossible peaks, their terraces carved into mountains that breach the clouds. Desert plains bear the marks of ancient hands, lines drawn across emptiness that speak to stars and gods. Here, glaciers feed rivers that birth jungles, and condors soar over canyons deeper than dreams can fathom. This is Peru, a symphony of altitude and antiquity, where every mountain holds a secret and every valley remembers an empire that moved stones the size of houses. From the depths of the Amazon, where pink dolphins surface in chocolate waters, to peaks that pierce the heavens at heights where eagles struggle to breathe, a journey begins. From coastal deserts where fog sustains life to highland lakes that mirror the infinite sky, this land defies simple description. 3 distinct geographical realms, coast, sierra, and selva, compress the diversity of a continent into a single nation. And through it all, the thread of human history weaves patterns that began before Rome rose and continue unbroken into the present moment. Beyond the cloud forest, where morning mist clings to granite faces like memory, the stones emerge from green darkness. Machu Picchu appears like a vision materialized in rock and sky, suspended between earth and heaven at 2,430 meters above sea level. Built in the 15th century during the reign of Inca Pachacuti, at the absolute height of Andean imperial power, this citadel commanded the sacred junction between mountains and jungle. No mortar binds these stones, only precision measured in fractions of millimeters, each surface ground and fitted so perfectly that not even a knife blade can slip between the joints. Agricultural terraces descend in perfect curves from the urban sector, each level engineered with drainage systems and microclimates designed to feed a city of perhaps 750 residents. The Intihuatana stone, whose name means hitching post of the sun, captures sunlight at the winter solstice with astronomical precision, marking time as the ancients measured the cosmos. The Temple of the Sun curves with the natural granite boulder beneath it, windows aligned to frame the sunrise on the solstice morning. When morning sun breaks through the Urubamba Valley far below, granite glows gold against the endless green of cloud forest that cascades down impossibly steep slopes. Huayna Picchu rises behind the ruins like a jagged sentinel, its peak reached by stone stairs so steep they challenge even modern climbers. The peak offers 360-degree views, the sacred Urubamba River snaking through the valley, mountains beyond mountains, fading into atmospheric blue. Llamas graze among ancient walls, descendants of herds that sustained an empire, their presence lending living continuity to stones that have outlasted civilizations. The genius of this place lies not just in its construction, but in its conception, a city built in conversation with landscape rather than in conquest of it. Spanish conquistadors never found this sanctuary, and it slept through centuries until Hiram Bingham brought it to world attention in 1911. Descending from those celestial heights where clouds touch stone, the path leads to the valley where empire was born and thrives still. Cusco spreads across its mountain bowl at 3,400 meters above sea level, where the air holds half the oxygen of the coast and the Andes press close on every side. Here, layers of civilization stack upon one another in visible stratigraphy. Inca walls form the foundations of Spanish colonial buildings, perfect stonework supporting Baroque churches and Republican mansions. The Plaza de Armas pulses with life as it has for over 500 years, ringed by arcades whose colonial arches rest on Inca foundations and twin cathedrals whose bells echo across the valley. Sacsayhuaman Fortress commands the hillside overlooking the city. Its three-tiered zigzag walls, constructed from limestone blocks so massive they defy comprehension. Some stones weigh over 200 tons, transported from quarries 6 kilometers away by methods still debated by modern engineers who cannot replicate the feat. The stones interlock with such precision that their faces bear subtle curves and angles, three-dimensional puzzles that distribute weight and resist earthquakes that have leveled Spanish constructions. Coricancha, once the Temple of the Sun whose walls were plated entirely in gold and whose garden contained golden corn and life-sized golden llamas, now supports the Church of Santo Domingo built upon its foundations. Yet the Inca walls remain, their inward-leaning trapezoidal doorways and niches perfectly preserved, earthquake-resistant for over 5 centuries. In the narrow streets of San Blas, the artisan quarter perched on hills above the plaza, Quechua market women sell purple corn, quinoa, and medicinal herbs their grandmothers' grandmothers would recognize. The 12-angled stone fits seamlessly into a wall on Hatun Rumiok Street, each angle meeting its neighbor with microscopic precision, Inca mastery evident in every facet. As evening light turns colonial balconies into galleries of shadow and gold, the city reveals its essential character, not Spanish or Inca alone, but a living fusion where past and present coexist without contradiction. The Inca called this place the navel of the world, and from here they ruled an empire that stretched from Ecuador to Chile. Following the Urubamba River as it carves its serpentine path through the Andes, another dimension of ancient life reveals itself in terraced magnificence. The sacred valley stretches for approximately 60 kilometers between mountain walls that rise thousands of meters on either side, its floor a patchwork of emerald fields and ochre settlements connected by roads that follow routes laid by Inca engineers. Ollantaytambo rises in massive agricultural terraces on the northern slope, a living fortress village where descendants of the Inca still walk cobblestone streets that have known continuous habitation for over 700 years. Its Temple of the Sun features 6 monolithic stones of rose-colored rhyolite, each weighing over 50 tons, transported from a quarry across the valley and up the mountain by methods involving ramps, levers, and extraordinary human determination. The stones fit together with characteristic Inca precision, their surfaces bearing the subtle bosses and depressions that mark stones destined for gold cladding that never came. Below the temple, the town preserves its Inca street plan, narrow lanes called canchas, where extended families lived in compounds around central courtyards. Pizac's ruins cascade down the mountainside in perfect symmetry, agricultural terraces becoming architectural statements that transform the mountain into a sculpture of human intention. The ancient market town below fills with color each Sunday, traditional textiles and crafts spreading through narrow lanes as they have for centuries, though tourism now shares space with local commerce. Salt pans at Maras have been harvested continuously since pre-Inca times, over 5,000 shallow pools stepping down the hillside, each family owning particular pools passed down through generations. Salt water emerges from a mountain spring, channeled through Inca canals into pools where evaporation leaves behind crystals the color of pink dawn. The valley produces the finest corn in Peru, kernels as large as grapes known as choclo, grown in soil enriched by centuries of careful cultivation and Inca-engineered irrigation systems. Eagles and hawks ride thermals above the river, tracing patterns the Inca astronomers might have charted in their precise observations of celestial and terrestrial movements. Chinchero, at 3,762 meters, preserves traditional weaving techniques unchanged for millennia, women demonstrating natural dyeing methods and patterns that encode social information in every thread. Here in this valley, the Inca perfected the integration of agriculture, architecture, and astronomy into a single unified system of understanding and shaping the world. Leaving the mountains behind, the land transforms into endless ochre plains, where one of humanity's greatest mysteries remains written across the earth. The Nazca lines stretch across 450 square kilometers of coastal desert, geometric precision and artistic vision combined on a monumental scale that defies casual comprehension. Created between 500 BCE and 500 CE by the Nazca culture, these geoglyphs represent one of archaeology's most enduring enigmas, visible only from above, yet created centuries before human flight. A hummingbird with wings spread wide, a spider with impossible anatomical precision, a monkey with spiraling tail, figures so vast that walking their perimeter requires hours, yet their proportions remain perfect. The spider measures 47 meters in length. The condor spans 135 meters. The hummingbird extends 96 meters from beak to tail, each drawn with such accuracy that modern laser measurements find them geometrically near perfect. Straight lines run for miles without deviation, created by removing iron oxide-coated pebbles to reveal lighter ground beneath, a technique so simple yet so precisely executed that the lines remain visible after 2,000 years. The desert's unique climate preserves them, virtually no rain, stable temperatures, and winds that clean rather than erode the cleared surfaces. Some scholars suggest astronomical calendar functions. Others propose water ritual connections. Still others see them as cosmic maps or sacred pathways for ceremonial processions. Recent evidence points to their relationship with underground water sources, the lines perhaps mapping aquifer locations in a landscape where water meant survival. Nearby, the Nazca aqueducts called Puquios still function after 1,500 years, underground channels bringing water through the world's driest desert via precisely engineered gradients and spiral ventilation holes. The Chachilla Cemetery reveals mummies preserved by extreme aridity and deliberate preparation, seated in underground tombs as they have been for over a millennium, textile wrapping still displaying intricate patterns. In this landscape of absence, where nothing grows and nothing decays, human ingenuity left its most enigmatic signature. Art so large, it speaks to the sky. Engineering so subtle, it whispers through underground channels. The mystery remains not just in their purpose, but in the vision that could conceive of art that cannot be seen except from heights humans could not reach. Climbing beyond the reach of trees, where the air grows thin and the sky presses close, the Andes open onto water that mirrors heaven itself. Lake Titicaca spreads across the Altiplano at 3,812 meters above sea level, the highest navigable lake on Earth, its deep blue waters holding secrets from before the Inca rose to power. The lake spans 8,372 square kilometers, shared between Peru and Bolivia in waters so still on calm mornings they become indistinguishable from sky, the horizon lost in perfect reflection. Inca mythology places the birthplace of their civilization on Isla del Sol in these waters, where Manco Capac and Mama Ocolo emerged to found Cusco. The Uros, people live on floating islands constructed entirely from totora reeds, a lifestyle maintained for over 500 years, possibly originating as refuge from Inca expansion. Each island requires constant maintenance, new layers of reeds added every 2 weeks as lower ones decay in the cold water, the islands themselves lasting only about 30 years before requiring complete reconstruction. Reed boats with puma head prows glide between islands, their construction technique unchanged since pre-Inca times, the same design visible in ancient pottery found around the lake. The Uros live entirely from the reeds. They build homes, boats, and islands from them, eat the white tender parts, and trade reed crafts with mainland communities. Taquile Island rises from the lake, its hillsides terraced by communities where men knit and weaving define social status in ways recorded nowhere else on Earth. The island's textile art earned UNESCO recognition in 2005, patterns encoding marital status, community role, and personal history in every design and color combination. Taquileño men begin knitting at age 8, mastering the production of chullos, the distinctive ear-flap hats whose colors and patterns broadcast the wearer's availability and community standing. Amantani Island preserves Pachamama and Pachacata temples on its twin peaks, offerings of coca leaves and chicha still made to Earth Mother and Sky Father in ceremonies that predate Christianity by millennia. At this altitude, where oxygen measures barely 60% of sea level, the stars burn with impossible brightness, the Milky Way dense enough to read by, reflected in water that holds the cold of infinite space. Lake Titicaca remains sacred space, its waters believed to possess healing powers, its islands preserving lifeways that elsewhere vanished under the weight of modernity. Where the earth splits open to reveal depths that dwarf even the Grand Canyon, the largest flying birds in the Western Hemisphere claim their ancient domain. Colca Canyon plunges 3,400 meters from rim to river, twice the depth of its North American counterpart, river-carved walls descending through geological time from ice-capped peaks to subtropical depths. Andean condors rise on morning thermals from the canyon depths, wings spanning over 3 meters, flight feathers spread like fingers feeling the air, embodiments of Inca mythology that considered them messengers between earth and heaven. Cruz del Condor Viewpoint offers the spectacle most reliably at dawn when thermal currents strengthen and these magnificent birds materialize from below the rim, soaring past observers at eye level. A mature condor can weigh 15 kilograms and live 70 years, spending hours aloft without flapping, reading air currents invisible to human eyes, soaring across territories that span hundreds of kilometers. They nest on sheer cliff faces inaccessible to predators, laying a single egg every 2 years, their reproduction so slow that Andean condor populations remain vulnerable despite their wingspan's dominance. Pre-Inca agricultural terraces line the canyon walls. Ribbons of green cultivation stepped down slopes so steep they seem vertical, still worked by Colagua and Cabana communities whose ancestors engineered these agricultural miracles. Some terraces date back over 2,000 years, their construction requiring the transport of soil from the valley floor and the engineering of irrigation channels that defy gravity to bring water across near-vertical faces. The terraces create microclimates, allowing cultivation of crops at varying altitudes, from high-altitude potatoes and quinoa down to corn and even sugarcane in the warmer depths. Descending the eastern slopes of the Andes, where clouds gather and rain becomes identity, the air thickens and the green deepens into infinity. The Peruvian Amazon encompasses 60% of the nation's territory, over 782,000 square kilometers of the most biodiverse region on Earth, where a single hectare can contain more tree species than all of North America. From Iquitos, Peru's largest city, unreachable by road, accessible only by air or by river journey measured in days, tributaries spread like capillaries through endless forest toward the main Amazon channel. The Pacaya-Samiria National Reserve protects 20,800 square kilometers of flooded forest and oxbow lakes, a landscape that exists half in water and half in air, transforming with the river's annual pulse. During high water season, the forest floor disappears beneath meters of flooding, and boat travel through the canopy becomes the only means of navigation. Pink river dolphins surface in murky waters, their distinctive coloration and flexible neck vertebrae adaptations to hunting fish in flooded forests, their echolocation calls passing through the tannin-stained water better than light ever could. These Boto dolphins measure up to 2.5 meters in length, their intelligence evident in hunting strategies that involve herding fish into shallow water and their playful interactions with canoes. Macaws congregate at clay licks in rainbow explosions of scarlet, blue, and green, seeking minerals from exposed riverbanks that help neutralize toxins from unripe fruits they consume. Hundreds of birds gather at dawn, their raucous calls echoing across the river before they descend en masse to the clay, a spectacle that draws wildlife photographers from around the world. Three-toed sloths move with deliberate slowness through cecropia trees, their metabolism so reduced they descend to the forest floor only once per week, their fur hosting an entire ecosystem of algae, moths, and beetles. Kapok trees rise 60 meters high on buttress roots that form cathedral spaces at ground level, their crowns emerging above the general canopy where harpy eagles nest and hunt. Indigenous communities like the Yagua, Bora, and Shipibo-Kunibo maintain traditional knowledge systems that read the forest as others read books, identifying hundreds of medicinal plants and maintaining sustainable hunting practices refined over millennia. The Shipibo people create intricate geometric patterns called kane, designs revealed in ayahuasca, visions that they paint on textiles and ceramics, visual representations of the songs they believe structure reality itself. At night, the jungle becomes a symphony of calls and movements, life intensifying under cover of darkness when jaguars hunt and giant river otters fish, and the forest reveals its true population. This is the lung of the planet, producing 20% of the world's oxygen. But more than that, it is a library of biological solutions accumulated over 55 million years of evolution in stable tropical conditions. In the shadow of 3 volcanoes, surrounded by peaks that glow pink in the sunset, a city rises in stone the color of fresh snow. Arequipa spreads across its valley at 2,335 meters above sea level, built almost entirely from white volcanic sillar, ignimbrite stone quarried from deposits left by explosive eruptions millennia ago. The city's nickname, La Ciudad Blanca, refers not just to this gleaming stone, but to the brilliant sunlight that illuminates it 300 days per year in one of the world's most consistently sunny climates. The Plaza de Armas showcases colonial perfection, the cathedral's twin towers and 3-aisled facade framing El Misti volcano in perfect symmetry when viewed from the plaza's center. The cathedral, rebuilt multiple times after earthquakes, spans an entire side of the plaza, its interior holding a Belgian organ and a French chandelier, imported luxuries that testify to Arequipa's historic wealth. Santa Catalina Monastery remains a city within a city, covering 20,000 square meters behind cobalt blue and terracotta walls that enclose streets where cloistered nuns lived in seclusion for over 400 years. Founded in 1580 to house daughters of wealthy Spanish families, the monastery housed up to 450 nuns and servants, a self-contained world of prayer and silence where women entered as teenagers and often never left. The monastery opened to public tours only in 1970, revealing perfectly preserved colonial architecture, narrow alleys bearing names like Street of Silence and Street of Cordoba, opening onto courtyards brilliant with geraniums and bougainvillea. Each nun maintained her own apartment, complete with kitchen and servant quarters, a standard of living that reflected their family's donations to the church. The city's picanterias serve traditional Arequipeño cuisine, family-run restaurants marked by white flags where rocoto relleno, stuffed spicy peppers, and chupe de camarones, river shrimp chowder, represent recipes perfected over generations. Surrounding the colonial center, Sillar architecture creates a streetscape of carved volcanic stone, facades decorated with intricate relief work, light and shadow playing across surfaces that glow in the intense altiplano sun. El Misti, Chachani, and Picchu Picchu volcanoes ring the valley, their presence constant and commanding, their perfect cones dominating every view and shaping the city's relationship with a landscape that could destroy it, yet provides its defining character. El Misti, at 5,822 meters, remains active, last erupting in 1985, a reminder that beauty and danger occupy the same space in the Andes. The city has survived countless earthquakes, its Sillar buildings flexing and cracking, but rarely collapsing completely, the volcanic stone's relative lightness and the old builders' techniques combining to create unexpected resilience. On the Pacific edge, where South America faces the infinite ocean and the cold Humboldt Current brings fog instead of rain, a different Peru emerges. Lima stretches for 60 kilometers along the coast, a metropolitan area of over 10 million people built on desert cliffs and river valleys where rain falls perhaps once per decade. The historic center preserves colonial splendor despite centuries of earthquakes. The Plaza Mayor, with its bronze fountain dating to 1651, surrounded by the government palace, Archbishop's Palace, and cathedral. Lima Cathedral, rebuilt multiple times since its 1535 founding, contains the tomb of Francisco Pizarro, the conquistador whose invasion ended the Inca Empire and began 3 centuries of Spanish rule. San Francisco Monastery and its catacombs offer subterranean passages lined with the bones of an estimated 70,000 souls, arranged in geometric patterns beneath the Baroque splendor of the church above. Miraflores rises on cliffs above the Pacific, its Malecon offering unobstructed views across an ocean that extends 10,000 kilometers to Polynesia without interruption. Paragliders launch from these cliffs throughout the afternoon, colorful wings catching updrafts from the beach below, tandem flights offering tourists bird's-eye views of the city's relationship with the sea. The Larco Museum, housed in an 18th century vice-regal mansion, contains the world's finest collection of pre-Columbian art. 45,000 cataloged pieces spanning 5,000 years of Peruvian cultures from Chavin to Inca. Its famous erotic pottery collection from the Moche culture displays explicit ceramic representations of human sexuality, ritual objects whose purpose and meaning continue to spark academic debate. Lima's culinary revolution has transformed the city into the gastronomic capital of South America, fusion cuisine blending Inca ingredients with Spanish techniques, African influences, and Asian flavors brought by Japanese and Chinese immigrants. Ceviche, the national dish of raw fish cooked in lime juice with ají peppers and red onions, reaches its apex here, served in cevicherias throughout the city each lunchtime. Huacapucalana rises incongruously from the heart of Miraflores, a 1,500-year-old adobe pyramid built by the Lima culture, its 7 platforms illuminated against the modern skyline each evening. The Garua, Lima's winter fog, blankets the coast from May to October in perpetual gray softness, moisture that never becomes rain yet sustains the lomas, fog-fed ecosystems on the coastal hills. Above the fog bank, in the hills behind the city, the sun shines on valleys where pre-Inca cultures built pyramids, and the Inca constructed the highway that connected their empire from Ecuador to Chile. From stone cities balanced in clouds to forests where rivers begin their journey to the Atlantic, where every tree holds more life than entire northern forests. From desert mysteries drawn for gods rather than humans to lakes that touch the sky at heights where air becomes precious and light burns clear. From canyons where condors soar to volcanoes that smoke and brood over cities built from their own erupted stone. Peru contains multitudes, civilizations that moved mountains and engineered water through deserts, ecosystems that birth continents and weather that creates life from fog alone. The traditions here measure time in millennia rather than years, patterns woven into textiles encoding information passed down through 500 generations of hands. The stones remember what they have witnessed, empires that rose and fell, earthquakes that shook them, and rains that never came. The mountains hold what they have always held, ice that feeds the rivers, metal that drew conquistadors, secrets that will outlast anyone who seeks them. And the land continues its ancient conversation between altitude and ocean, between past and present, between stone and sky, a conversation conducted in languages older than words, in the grammar of geology and the syntax of survival. This is Peru, where the earth reaches toward heaven and heaven bends down to meet it, where human aspiration carved itself into the bones of mountains and left marks that even time struggles to erase.